All right, y'all. Like I was telling y'all in the opening of the show, I got on current Wildcat Sports heavyweight champion and also
Two
somebody
time,
who's been doing some
two
two-time.
time
That's right.
heavyweight champion.
I'm glad he reminded me that two-time. Actually, Harper and I were talking about that. We were trying to figure out if you were the only two-time Wildcat champion at this point. I think.
Uh, yeah, man. I mean, my first year at Wildcat, I've been very blessed to be able to make history. I was the first uh African American man to win the Wildcat title, and then I also am the first man to win it twice. Um,
That's right.
so that's one hell of a first year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
That's
I mean things have
when.
been going
When
pretty
did
good.
you When did you make your debut with them?
I want to say it was November of 2014, either October or November of 2014. And so just this past show in November was just about the 1 year mark for me.
That's what I thought. I was at that November show last year, but I didn't know if that was your first time there.
Mhm.
Because I hadn't been to a bunch of the previous ones. I just happened to be in town that weekend in New Orleans. That's where I'm from, but I was in town that weekend, and I was like, went and checked it out. But I wasn't sure if that was your debut with them or not. I mean, I knew you had been, wrestling before then, but I wasn't sure if that was your actual debut with them. I
Oh yeah.
was actually going to ask that. When so that was your first debut show with them. How did you get on, or how did you get hooked up with Wildcat? Because I hadn't
Well,
heard your name like prior to that, and I mean not that I talk to Luke all the time, but we
right,
talk
right, right.
occasionally, we text and whatnot. But I had no idea you were going to be on the show that night.
Well, like most things with my career, a lot of it has to do with one half of the new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, Raymond Rowe.
Yep.
He helped train me along with Jerry Myers in East Cleveland, where I'm from. And when I moved down to Texas, he's been very instrumental in kind of shopping my name around to everybody around here and making sure that they knew who I was and they knew my ability. And then once they decided to give me that chance, then it was up to me to then kind of prove him right. And
Yeah.
Luke Hawks Wildcat was pretty much the very same thing. Luke even told me, straight up when I got there, he's like, look, uh, the only reason you're here is because Ray vouched for you. So, I expect you to live up to what he said. And so that's the pressure that I put on myself. That's the pressure that I expect from anybody that I work for is to go out there night one and get the job done and be who I need to be and be what I need to be. Um, so and then it went from there. So I had that match. Luke came back to me, and Luke is as straight up and down as they come in this business.
You
And
got that right.
and he came up to me and said, you know what? He's like, you have a job with me as long as you want it, and that was the end of it. Like, so, uh, so I mean, to have a guy like him and guys like Ray kind of vouch for me my whole career, and then prove them right, and give them that sense of satisfaction that their faith is well placed is really the most important thing for me.
Yeah, I hear that, and you're right, man. Luke, I've known him for a long time, man. He tells it like it is, man. He don't bite his
Exactly.
tongue for nobody. So
Exactly.
yeah, man, that cat there, he will he will tell it like it is. That's cool though, man. I wasn't sure, like I said, if that was your first one last November or not. I remember seeing you on the card. Sometimes I'll go on the back of the shows, but I don't remember going in the back that much for that one. Kind of just stayed out with the audience. But yeah, man, that's good, man. And like you said, first two-time Wildcat Sports Heavyweight Champion, first African American Wildcat Sports Heavyweight Champion. So just keep it up. I know. I'll get the question. I mean, we're recording this right before Christmas,
Hmm.
and the next Wildcat show is on January 9th. So I'm
Hmm.
sure. I'm sure people will be like, well, why aren't they talking about who he's gonna face at the January 9th show? Well, it's because we just don't know at this point. But
Nor
I'll
does
let
it
you address.
matter. Nor does
No,
it
I was
matter.
about. That's what I was about to say. That's where I was going with that. I was gonna say, does it really matter, Shane? So I'll let you go ahead and take it from there.
Yeah, I think January 9th, Wildcat is going back to Grace King. It's been a great venue for Wildcat. The fans are still absolutely bonkers. Some of the best fans that I've ever performed in front of. I've been all around the country, and been to a few different countries, and there's no crowd like a Wildcat sports crowd. That energy is electric, and people believe in what they're doing there. Not just the fans, but the guys in the back. And you can tell that when they come to the curtain. You can tell that when they're in the ring. You can tell that with, guys like Luke and the way he talks about it to people and the way that he takes care of his guys. There's not a lot of places like that in this business at all. Nor, even if we're talking about history, that there could ever have been like that, because this business is so, what have you done for me lately? And it's very, and it's a Shark Tank, so it's very, very rare to have a locker room full of guys that honestly 100% want everybody there to be successful. They want everybody to be at their best, not because they feel like, oh, well, if he's better than me, he'll take my spot. It's because, hey, if he's better, that makes me better, that makes us better, that puts more money in our pockets, that makes this grow bigger. And that's the attitude that Luke instills in his guys. That's the attitude that makes Wildcat what it is, and that's very apparent when you go to the shows. So January 9th, they go back to Grace King, and I'm sure it's already a phenomenal card. I'm sure they're going to be putting out a bunch of matches here soon, a bunch of updates. As far as who gets the next shot at, the Wildcat Sports title, it really doesn't matter, man. Like, that's not like a cocky thing or anything. Like, it really just doesn't. There's going to be anybody that they put in front of me is going to be world class. Anybody that they put in front of me is going to be one hell of a tough guy, so as far as the preparation goes, it's all going to be the same. All the only difference is stylistically, whoever they put in front of me, I'll have time to get ready for that. But I am, without a doubt, on the best roll of my career, the most momentum I've ever had in my career, in the best state mentally, physically, emotionally, and right now, it's going to take a hell of a man to take that Wildcat Sports title away from Shane Taylor.
I hear that. I can tell you who I'm sure it's not going to be, unless they're going to work, do double duty that night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Ricky Starks and Carlos Socorro have been announced, and I think Shalmation Sensation, Danny Flamingo, and I forget who else has already been announced. But like you said, man, it doesn't really matter who it is. You're going to get in there, and you're going to do your thing and defend your title and come out winning. So, hey, while we're talking about that, not to change the subject on Wildcat, because we plug them all the time, but I did want to ask you, and we'll get to the Ring of Honor stuff. But one of the things I like to do on the show is, I know it's a wrestling podcast, but I don't like to just talk about wrestling. So I know you're from Cleveland, right?
Yes, sir. East Cleveland, to be exact.
East Cleveland. All right. So here's the thing, Shane. Were you a Bone Thugs and Harmony fan back in the day?
Of course. Come on, man. Yeah. That's an easy question.
All right, dude. Here's why I'm asking you that, man. Because I actually worked the Indies in the mid '90s through early 2000s. I mean, I didn't have a long run, but I did work the Indies. And my very first entrance song. This is how old I am. I'm gonna date myself right now. My very first entrance song was Thuggish Ruggish Bone.
Oh,
so
classic.
Yeah. And I'm still, to this day, 20 plus years later, when I'm at the gym, man, I got Bone in my ears at least once a week, because it's that good stuff. I mean, I can't even explain it. I mean, so much of what they put out was good. That's why I asked you that, if you were a Bone fan. I mean, you're from Cleveland, so I figured that.
And the funny part about being from Cleveland, and that kind of, when you're from East Cleveland, if you're from Cleveland in general, people there have a different connection to their city than anybody else in the world has to theirs. I'm sure that you'll get calls, well, people from New Orleans care about and people from Houston. That's all well and good, and I hear you, and I'm sure you have city pride, but there is no connection between a city and its people like Cleveland, Ohio. I don't care what anybody says. And when you have your guys, when you have people that are your own to be that successful, it's not just music at that point. It's not just, they're not just a group. They're not just a rap group. It becomes like its own subculture, really, And being from Cleveland, we really didn't know how big they were until, like, I got to start traveling. And even down here in Texas, I'll go, I'll hang out and be at a bar, yada, 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 and there'll be Bone playing on the jukebox. And not just like, hey, one or two people know the words. I'm talking about the entire bar, word for word, knows every song that's played. I'm like, how the hell do you know about this?
Like, for real.
But they were that big. They were
man.
Global. So yeah, I mean, Bone Thugs and Cleveland are, it's like peanut butter and jelly, man. They just go together. It's just how.
Man,
how
let me like this is how I judge their popularity. Like I said, when that came out in like '94, and I'm at like a club that plays at that point nothing but New Orleans bounce music, because I'm born and raised in New Orleans.
Right.
Like you're literally at a club that's playing nothing but bounce music, and the only thing they play that's not some New Orleans bounce music song is Bone.
Yep. That's
That was like that'll tell you their popularity. So I've
exactly.
been a fan for them of.
And
many,
New Orleans
many
is a real city. Like, it's not one of these like pretentious fake cities. Like, you have, in order to be respected in New Orleans, you have to be legit.
Yeah.
So
yes.
That goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, especially considered too. I mean, you think about all the rappers that have come out of New Orleans. I mean, you're not. You got heavy hitters that have come out of New Orleans.
Of course.
I mean, I'm not a Lil Wayne fan, but I mean, I give him his respect. He came out of the city, and he's a big time artist. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So.
Wayne is Wayne. I mean, I just really know to describe it.
Yeah. You know what it is for me, Shane? I've gotten older, and I hate to sound like an old fuddy duddy, but like there's certain things in my ears I just can't listen to no more. And I think that's more or less what it is with Wayne, because I can listen to some of his older stuff, but even then I'm like, it's just I've gotten older, and it
but
just
see,
doesn't.
The thing is, I'm 29, so like it's one of those things too. It's a generational thing, man, because. Or maybe like I'm the last of the older generation, maybe being only 29, but like the music today is so far off par from the example that was set before them.
Yeah, man.
I'm a fan of lyrical music, be it rap, be it rock, be it whatever you do, you should be saying something in your music. Whatever message you're trying to convey is what should, get that emotional reaction from whoever is listening to it. There should be some sort of connection there. And I think in the last 15 years or so, especially with music, they've gotten away from the artistic approach, and it's all based now solely on profit. What sells the most? What do you talk about that generates the most revenue? You have guys like Lupe Fiasco, who are tremendous artists, but still aren't at the top of the game like a Jay-Z or, somebody like that, because that's not what they talk about. Lupe Fiasco talks about politics. He talks about education. He talks about real world things. That's not as entertaining as talking about money, drugs, and women. It's not as entertaining as talking about, things that you're buying that you really don't own. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that, people make more money telling people lies than telling people the truth. And that's where I think the gap is. A lot of people now are just happy listening to lies. I'm not one of those people.
I'm with you.
I was raised smarter than that. I was raised to think for myself. I was raised to know the difference between what's real and what's not. So, and I think that's just the main thing when it comes to music now. It's, are you saying something, or is this more just club, teeny bomb for stuff to sell records? Because if that's what it is, I'm changing the channel.
Yeah, it's just it just doesn't it. It's kind of like wrestling. It doesn't tell the story that it needs to
Mhm.
tell. It's
Mhm.
like if it not and that it's not to say all wrestling's like that, but that's what it reminds me of. It's like, man, this is not appealing. It's not telling me anything that I would want to enjoy listening to. So
Mhm.
I agree, man. It's
And there's and
times have
there's and
changed.
there's a there's a niche market for all of it. Whether you like wrestling that's more mat based, or you like the high spot fest, like whatever you do, whatever
Hmm.
your cup of tea is, there's a niche for that. But when you get down to the brass tacks and the bare bones of it, what we do, is supposed to, do what you just said. Tell a story. Take people on a ride.
Hmm.
On that emotional ride. Um, and if that's not what you're doing, then you're failing at your job. You know, um,
Yeah,
it may look great. You still may get paid, but it's not an honest day at the office, if you ask me. But that's just how I feel about it.
that's right.
It's one man's
That's
opinion.
right. Yeah. No, I agree. Just it's a changing world, and like you said, it's the newer generation of whether it's rap or R&B music is just not the same. It's
Mhm.
just it's not the same.
Oh, I mean, hell,
Um,
you have guys that get paid millions of dollars. You don't even understand what they're saying. Not at
not
all.
at all. It's noise.
Like my that, and there's millions. Like, what did he say? Like, rewind it. Still don't know. You know what I mean? It's just it's insane.
It's just noise, man. I'm telling you, it's the only way to
Exactly.
put it. It's like what? And that's the thing, man, because we were talking about Bone. As hard
Mhm.
as they were to understand with the way because that was the thing that made them unique. The way they, I'll call it sing. It wasn't really
Mhm.
singing, but the way they rapped, it was
Mhm.
unique, but you still could understand it. Like to
Right.
me, I could
Oh yeah.
understand the message.
Mhm.
That's what I mean. But
Exactly.
yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, so you were talking about Ray Rowe and training with him and whatnot.
Mhm.
Hey, how did y'all meet? Like back in the day when you first got started?
Um, if I'm going all the way back, I met Ray Rowe, my sophomore year of high school, and he was a senior at St. Ignatius, and we actually wrestled each other, like for our schools.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
yeah, so that's where I initially met him. Um, and he won the match. It is what it is. He likes to still brag about it, but it's all good. Um, uh, but yeah, then after that, it was another a few years had gone by. He went to Case. I went to Slippery Rock University. Um, we met up again at I want to say a Cleveland All Pro show. A couple years later, and just kind of like uh, just kind of caught up and all that. But it wasn't until about uh, summer of 2006 where I really was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I was done with school, and I was
Yeah.
just like, all right, this is the path that I want to take, and was very fortunate enough to have contact with Ray Still and for Jerry Myers, J Rock, the Big Daddy of Destruction. Give it up
Mhm.
one time. I was very lucky to have, to be in contact with them. And I was on a show in Painesville, Ohio, New Era Pro Wrestling. It's not around now, but I was able to talk to them there and kind of have them kind of take me under their wing, kind of show me the way of how to get things done the right way. Uh, and so that's how that started, and that's how I got into the business.
Cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, I knew just maybe it was I don't know, maybe a Facebook post or something, or Harper might have told me, something that Ray had kind of took you under his wing. That's
Hmm.
how I found out. But and then knew the natural connection. I mean, when you know how it is, man. When you're from a similar area, you
Oh, of course.
naturally have things in common where you connect with someone.
Hmm.
And that always helps. I mean, geographically and whatnot. Hey, do you know, being that you're from Ohio, do you know Tyrone Evans, Michael Tarver too?
I do. I do.
Oh, okay.
It's a good buddy of mine. Uh,
I've had him on
me
the
and
show,
him
man.
have wrestled a few times too. Yeah.
Yeah, I had him on, man. That cat is cool as can be, man. I had him
Cool as
on
a
the show.
fan. Cool as a fan.
Yeah, man, man, that dude is so cool, man. We tweet each other all the time, mostly not
Hmm.
even about wrestling, about college football, because he's a
Oh
big
yeah.
Ohio State fan and whatnot. And
That's right, baby. It's all
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
OHIO all day.
yeah. Well, I ain't gonna say that, man. I'm an LSU fan, but
We still
yeah,
owe
oh
you
yeah,
guys
oh,
one, right? We
yeah,
just-
you do,
all right.
you do,
Yeah. I remember that
you
game.
do.
I
Yeah, I
remember
do
that
too,
game.
man. But my Tyrone and I, man, we tweet. Man, we tweet all the time. He's a cool cat, man.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
another one, man. I had him on the show, and literally, Shane, 2 hours later, we're still talking.
Oh
And I
yeah.
like,
Yeah, you get
you
him
know,
rolling, man. Like it's just
yeah,
he's
yeah,
got a lot of knowledge, man, a lot of wisdom. He's been through so much in life, I
yes,
mean, he was at the top at the top of the top, and then
right,
um and I don't know the story, firsthand like he he does, but I know he had some problems and is bouncing back from that and is finding another path in life, and that's a man that I really truly respect. For picking himself up by his bootstraps, not once, not twice, maybe three, four times, and still
yeah,
finding
man,
a way to push forward and continue to get better and just strive to be better every day and prove everybody wrong. Like that's as a man, what I mean, that's the motto that you set out to have is I'm going to be that guy. No matter what, I'm going to work harder than everybody else. No matter what, I'm going to be better, every day. And my hat's off to him. He's
yeah,
a hell of a man.
yeah. I started talking to him. We started recording, and 2 hours later, we were still rolling. And when I
Mhm.
tell you, I mean, he opened up about a lot of stuff. It happened in
Mhm.
WWE, and even beyond WWE. I mean,
Oh, of course.
I broke it up into two parts, man. The episode was so good, but man, he's just a cool cat, man. Like I said, I got nothing but respect for him and his story and everything he's been through in
Absolutely.
life and how he's battled back from it. I mean, that's how it should be, man. Not that you should fall on any hard times, but to hear redemption. And I would say this, of all the shows I've done, the tweets that I got about the episode that I did with him was more than anything else of people that remembered him from Raw, remembered him from
Mhm.
WWE, and only saw what they saw on TV, and then
Exactly.
after listening to the show, tweeting me going, I got nothing but respect for this dude now, because
Mhm.
he didn't come across as fussing as much as he came across as saying, hey, this is what happened, it is what it is, and just being upfront and honest,
Oh, for
and it
sure.
didn't come across as like sour grapes. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And he's another guy that's just real straight up, and and
Yeah.
and the crazy thing about being at that level is you don't really have any say at how you're perceived.
Right.
They package you one way, and to now millions of people, they just see you as one thing. They don't really
Yep.
get the the chance to know the real you, or nor did he probably get a chance to actually show that side of him. You know what I mean? Uh, people couldn't really gravitate towards him when he was where he was at.
Yep.
But to have the platform, on your show, to sit down and really explain to people now and go, hey, this is who I am. These are the things that I've gone through. This is who I am and this is what I'm about. Now people are like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Like, well, yeah, of course you didn't. Like, there was no way
Yeah.
for you to know. You know,
Yep.
and
Yeah. I agree.
yeah.
It was good. I had I mean, I had heard him on Colt Cabana's show, and
Mhm.
that's kind of how I got introduced to a little bit of the story, and then he just kind of expounded upon it more when we were talking. So it was,
Mhm.
man, I like that, man, because there's all, like you said, you hit the nail on the head when you're packaged in that product, and this is not knocking WWE because I don't want
No,
anybody to
this
think
this
that
is
it's
in
it's just
any form
reality, right?
of media. Like if
Yeah,
you make music or what or however, like anything that you're at the highest level that you can be at, you're packaged in a certain way.
right.
And that's what they market towards. That's what they push, and there's really not a lot of say that the performer has in it.
Yep.
Because you belong to them. essentially, you know.
It's
Uh,
true. I mean, yeah,
so
you nailed it. You nailed it. It's true.